All right, talk a little football here. The Just End the Suffering podcast. The NFL schedule has been released. Ordinarily, this is not something I do on the podcast, but it's fresh sports. Might as well cover all the fresh sports we get. And joining me today is a NFL schedule enthusiast and New York Giants fan. We just heard from him, I think, actually 2 weeks ago in the NFL draft recap. Nick Fraietta is on the line with me today. Nick, how are you?
Hey, Mike. Doing good. How are you?
Doing pretty good, and I gotta say, the NFL does come through again, and they do give us something to talk about sports-wise because of the schedule being out, and it's pretty nice.
Yeah, it's great. A little disappointed that Thursday night it was supposed to come out at 8 o'clock, and all the teams are posting on their Instagram earlier. I think it would have been a good idea to. I know it was on TV, but to make it like a reveal, like Selection Sunday. That would have been a great idea. A really missed opportunity, I think. I know they televised it, but it would have been cool if they didn't have anything leak at all and released it all at once. It would have been a nice. That would have been a nice watch.
It would have been a nice watch, and I mean, by the time the schedule does come out, you basically you had like half the Chiefs schedule. You knew the Jets were opening in Buffalo. You had a bunch of other stuff out there. So I agree with you. This year would have been nice if they just were able to hold off on the leaking.
Yeah, especially all things considered, this would have been the perfect time for that. But they did release it. They did have a show. I didn't watch the show, and once I saw the Giants had posted their schedule, I was like, yeah, that's enough for me. We already knew who they were playing, just a matter of when.
Yeah, indeed. So, and it was funny because leading into the schedule talk, there was a lot of rumors flying about, the league's going to put all the AFC, NFC games in the first 4 weeks. So if they have to cancel them, we'll have the easy way to go down to 12 games. We have all these like things that the schedule can collapse and make it easier. But I have to say, I was a little surprised that the NFL did not appear to have a ton of major contingencies built in there.
I was too. I heard the same thing you did about the AFC, NFC being the first 4 weeks. I thought that was a great idea. Maybe it was too difficult to put in place. I'm not sure why they didn't, but I mean, they should have. I mean, you look at what's going on in the country, and things are getting a lot better in our area, in the New York, New Jersey area, but in a lot of other places, it's getting worse. Like overall, the country's in the same spot it was a few weeks ago, and I know New York and New Jersey have been a lot better, but overall, the country pretty much the same it was, which leads me to believe there is a potential that something might happen, especially with, we're in May now. Nothing's opened yet. Maybe they don't start training camp on time. They don't start training camp on time. Preseason might not start on time. And if everything's delayed a few weeks, you may have to get rid of some weeks in the season. And who knows what they're going to do about fans. But we'll worry about that when the time comes. But I feel like maybe they should have had a couple of more precautionary measures in there. Maybe it comes back to bite them. Hopefully not, though.
Yeah, the NFL has been very much this whole time. They've been like, we're pushing ahead. We're optimistic. We feel good about our situation. If we can do things, we'll do them. Like they did the free agency without like team visits and physicals. They did the draft without the big pomp and circumstance. Everybody do it from home. Schedule comes out, but there are a couple of things I notice in there, which is number one, like every team has the same bye week as their week 2 opponent. So like if the season has to get pushed back at all, you can get rid of the bye week and have everybody just play the week 2 game in their bye week slot. So like the Jets and I forget who the Jets and Niners play week 2.
San Fran, yeah.
You have San Fran. So like if that gets pushed back, they can slot that game in week 11. That's one scenario. The big one, the Super Bowl, is flexible in dates. They can move it back, and they said they can go back about February 28th right now. I'm not surprised there's more flexibility there. You can have this no division games weeks 3 and 4. So I think those are the two most likely to go if they have to go to 14 games. And the other thing is like you might have something similar to what we happened in 2001, which is remember like when 9/11 attacks happened that we canceled the second week of the season. We pushed it back to the end of the regular season, and it would not shock me if something like that happens again. But they do have some flexibility here. I think that's good. They could have had more.
Yeah, I think they did a good job. Hopefully enough. I don't know yet. Really, honestly, we hear the governor talk every day for the last 2 months. We hear the president speak all the time. We don't really know yet. We have to see what happens. And there's a lot that we still don't know about this whole situation. It's just only time will tell.
Yeah, because it's tough to tell because, I mean, there are some states like the 49ers who play in Santa Clara. Their county commissioner said, I don't see any large-scale activities happening until Thanksgiving. So the 49ers got to play outside of their home city for those games. Like, if the NFL has said, okay, you're going to have these games here, and you have stadiums that aren't finished being built yet, and they may not have fans when they're open. So there's a lot of things. The NFL is fully just pressing on like nothing's happening, which I think is a bit of a miscalculation.
I agree. I think, when the NBA canceled everything, which was March 11th, I believe, it was that Wednesday night.
It was.
Everyone thought they were crazy that day, myself included. I remember sitting in bed and I found out, Gobert and Donovan Mitchell. Everyone's like, what are they doing? They're taking this so seriously. And then all of a sudden, we're here 2 months later, and if you told me they were going to play an NBA game tomorrow, I'd be like, are you out of your mind? Like, I would need so much to happen between now and when I expect to see a sporting event happen.
Yeah, 100%. But the one thing I did like in this is that they felt like they did a good job of spreading out some of their big games early this season. So, like, if they need to push back a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, like any of those weeks at the beginning of the season, feel like there's a big game there, and you feel like, wow, here's a big event for the start of football season. So I feel like they cover their bases that way in terms of the TV perspective.
Oh, I absolutely agree. I mean, for example, like looking real quickly, well, first off, I think Dallas, the amount of games that Dallas is in this season that can serve as a big game. They had Seattle week 3. They have Baltimore week 13. They have San Fran week 15. I know we're not going to start the season week 13, but I feel like Dallas has a lot of big games. Obviously, any game against the Eagles in Dallas is a big game. I just feel like I believe Dallas has the most primetime games of any team in the league as well. With 6, they have 6 primetime games. And I just think Dallas has like a real TV like a TV favorite schedule. Like, people are going to tune into a lot of Dallas games this year.
Oh yeah,
I think you're right though that they can start this season week 3. We have week 4. We have a lot of big games as well. For example, week 4 you have Pittsburgh and Tennessee. That doesn't sound like a big game originally, but remember how good Tennessee was last year. A lot of big games early on in the schedule. New England and Kansas City is also in week 4, so you can see that.
Yeah, there is a lot of good stuff there. Let's go to the locals for a minute. You are the Giant guy. Give me your take on the Giants schedule.
It is brutal. Brutal. I don't think there's any way around it. I think they can easily go 3-13 right now with how hard the schedule is. I don't think they're good. I've said that on this podcast before. I don't think they're 3-13 bad, and the schedule might make them be 3-13 bad.
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now. You get the nice thing for them is that, like, obviously you don't have your Dallas in Dallas week 1 or 2, which is nice because I feel like it's been every year for about a decade.
I'm surprised. It's like a tradition at this point.
Yeah, it is. But you get the Steelers to start the year on Monday night, which is rough, and the Steelers are going to be much better than they were last year. Look at some of these games early: 49ers, Rams, Cowboys. You could easily be 1-4, 2-5, basically by the midpoint of the season.
Even going to Chicago is not an easy game. They don't have a quarterback. They have a real bad quarterback situation, but going to Chicago is not an easy win. There's only like 2 games on the whole schedule that I look at and I say that's a win, and I'm confident that they can win the game. Honestly, really the only one that I can really think of right now is home against Washington. I really can't see any other game that I'm positive that they're going to win. Away in Washington, I think they're better than Washington. They should beat Washington, but I don't know if they're going to win on the road. Last year, they had pulled it out at the last second to stop themselves from getting Chase Young in Washington. And then you have the away at the Bengals. The Bengals, they should be better than, but who knows? They're not that much better.
Yeah, they're not. One I also want to point out, too, I'm circling on the calendar, December 20th, the Browns and Odell Beckham come into town. You know that the circus is going to be in town that day.
Yeah, actually, fun fact is they stay in New York and play the Jets again the following week. But that has no value, him playing the Jets. But him versus the Giants, it's going to be big. And I don't regret it, make the trade, but I still think that was a horrible trade. Looking back, I think Jabril Peppers is wildly overrated. I think he's pretty good at best. And Odell Beckham he's superstar wide receiver. He had a decent season last year, nothing with his standard, but he's a really, really, really good player, generational talent. And they traded him for starting safety and a first-round pick. I guess they did better than the DeAndre Hopkins trade, but I still don't like the trade.
Yeah, I hear that. And let's go to the Jets for a minute. I mean, the Jets' schedule, the first 3 games on their schedule are just insanely hard for them. They go to Buffalo, who right now I think is the best team in the division. San Francisco flies east for a 1 o'clock game in week 2, and then they have to go to Indianapolis week 3. I think it's the favorite in that division. I mean, the Jets, if they don't get at least 1 win in there, they're going to have a long year ahead of them.
I think the Jets have a brutal schedule as well. I think New England's underrated. I know they got to figure out who's going to play quarterback, but I think they're an underrated team. I think they're pretty good still. Buffalo, like you said, is a quality team. They're the favorite in the division. And then looking at the divisions they play, the AFC West, Denver went 7-9 last year. So did Oakland. Those are not bad teams at all. And both the Giants and the Jets play the NFC West, which I think is the best division of football now. With you have the Niners, who are, one of the best teams in the league, if not the best, probably right behind Kansas City. Seattle's a great team. And then you have Arizona's much better now. They're really good offense. And the Rams are on the way down, but they're still not bad. The Rams are still a decent team. I don't think the Rams are an easy win, especially Giants and the Jets both have the Rams on the road this year. That's not an easy win. Like that's not a game that is so tough like it used to be. Like, oh no, we're playing the Rams, but it's not an easy cakewalk anymore.
Yeah. I think, honestly, the Jets' schedule is really going to be those first 6 games. The 3 against, we mentioned, and then the Broncos come flying east on a short week for a Thursday night game.
Yeah, what's good about the Jets' schedule is they have San Fran, Denver, and Arizona all coming to them.
Yeah. And Denver's on a short week flying east, so that's one that I think will be a huge advantage. Yep. I think they could steal that because we saw what happened the year they played on Thursday and had to go out to Denver. They were gassed in that game.
Yeah, and you see it time and time again. You forget about it a lot. When you look at the schedule, you say, like, you see them take a look at San Fran, and you say, San Fran is better than the Jets. They're much better than the Jets. That's a no-brainer. But how often does it happen that a West Coast team comes east and loses? It happens all the time.
Even last year at the 49ers, how great they were. They went to Washington at 1 o'clock on a rainy day and struggled mightily and only won 9-0.
It happens. It happens all the time. It used to happen with those Seattle teams. Richard Sherman, they would come east and struggle.
Yeah. Basically, I think if the Jets are not 500 through their first 6 games, they're toast. That's
Buffalo, Kansas City, New England after that.
Yep.
Then you have a stretch of Oakland.
The Dolphins.
The last 5 games. That last 5 games is tough.
Yeah, although I do think from what I have read that the Jets requested to stay out west for the Seattle-LA swing, so they're probably going to pull a page out of the Eagles playbook or the Patriot playbook and just stay out there and not fly back.
There, okay. Yep.
Which I think is a smart play.
Yeah, might as well. And I go back to the Giants. I think an underrated thing that makes the Giants' schedule tougher or look tougher than it actually is, or actually be tougher, is the fact that they finished in 3rd place last year puts them up against Chicago and Tampa. Chicago, they're a 3rd place team. I think that's fair. But Tampa has a 3rd place team. Getting Brady, they're not like those 3rd place games are supposed to be games that, like, if you get better, you'd be like, we could be another 3rd place team. Like Chicago, the Giants might be able to win that game. I don't think it's an easy game, but they may be able to win that game. Then you look at the Tampa game, and oh no, they have Tom Brady and Gronk, and they're the talk of the league now. They don't look like a 3rd place team anymore.
And it's on Monday night, so there's actually embarrassing potential in that one.
Yeah, that is a Monday nighter.
Yeah, the Giants. You knew to get them at least one Monday night game just on name value alone, and I think honestly, let's go to the prime time for a minute. I don't know about you. I feel like the Monday night package is actually the best one this year.
The Monday night package is pretty good.
Yeah.
Looking at it right now, actually, you have a lot of good games in there.
They got Chiefs-Ravens. I was stunned that they got Chiefs-Ravens.
Yeah, and they have Seattle and Philly later in the year. They have really good games in there.
Bills, 49ers.
Bills, Patriots. Yeah, Bills, Pats later in the year as well. You're definitely right. It's a good package. Sunday night, you don't have to really discuss Sunday night. Sunday night's always good games.
But it's not as good as Monday night is this year.
That's true. Yeah, it's true. It's not as good, but you can't really. You can never look at Sunday night and say, "Oh, this game's going to suck." It's never going to happen.
That's true.
And then Thursday, I'm a little impressed with.
Yeah.
Usually Thursday games I can't stand. I feel like every Thursday game is like Tennessee versus Jacksonville, and it's boring, and it's like, who cares? The only reason you watch it because you might have Leonard Fournette. on your fantasy team. It's just like it's such a boring game. But looking at the schedule for it this year, I see Week 6 is Kansas City and Buffalo.
Yeah, that's solid.
I see Dallas and Baltimore Week 13. I see New England and LA.
Yeah.
Those are some good games. I'm excited for that.
Yeah, fun fact about the New England LA game. That's one that that's like they did the same thing the Jets did where they're out west. They decided to stay out there and then they're playing them on Thursday out west, not flying back to New England. That's why it's logistically possible for them.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. I mean, it almost seems to me like that shouldn't be a thing a team has to request. I feel like the NFL should try to work that in as much as they can. I don't know if they do, but if they don't, they should.
Well, from what I understand, the scheduling process is that they take requests from the teams into account in terms of like scheduling road trips, where they could, like the Jets did this year with requesting the LA Seattle back to back. Whereas I remember back in 2008, the Jets had 4 different flights to the West Coast, which is the stupidest thing I've ever seen, and then they ended up costing them down the stretch. That team got gassed.
And the only thing you can say is at least it's not baseball. They don't have to go there overnight and play the next day.
Yeah,
but it's still terrible that they have that and they didn't allow that.
Yeah, did not get better than that. I feel like Sunday Night Football, the thing I want to mention about them real quick is like, yes, they have the flex, which is great, where you have a game that turns into a dog, that you can get it out and put something better in. But like, the thing that surprised me with that is that they're like, this is the NFL just we're showcasing our stadiums. We get the Rams on Sunday night twice. We get the Raiders on Sunday night twice. And like, those have games have dog potential to them because both those teams have major boom bust potential.
Yeah, that is true. I mean, the good news about those games is you have the other teams are good at least, so it's not like which I guess makes it worse in terms of a blowout. But you have big name teams, I guess. Regardless of the Rams stadium, it's a big name. They're in LA, Regardless of the Raiders, they're in Vegas. That's going to be huge, and I guess Tampa Bay is in the same situation where they may not be what we thought they are.
Yeah.
So we'll see about that, but I definitely like the Sunday games in general. And at least, I always say when I want to watch a primetime game, I look forward to the game. I always say, make the better team on the road.
Yes.
Because it makes it a little more interesting. And, I don't want to see Kansas City versus the Raiders at Kansas City. It's just like, at least you put it in Oakland, even if Oakland is bad, Vegas. Even if Vegas is bad, at that point of the season, they'll probably flex it out, but let's say they didn't. At least you can say, well, they're home. They have a shot.
Yes.
Instead of just going into Kansas City and watching them get destroyed.
I agree with that 10,000%. And I do think that, like, the Thursday games, I want to touch back on that for a second as well. I do think the interesting factor you have there is that, like, Fox does it, and Fox basically said to the NFL, it's okay, you can dip into our Sunday doubleheader game. It's like, we could take like a game or two off America's Game of the Week to boost Thursday Night Football, which is why you get the Packers 49er game there, which is great. And once again, the league does a great job scheduling the Thursday after Thanksgiving. You get Baltimore and Dallas on a Thursday with the full week, so that's going to be an epic game.
Absolutely. It really is. I'm excited to see what Baltimore can do this year. Yeah. I want to know if Lamar Jackson can repeat it. I mean, it's the season he had was unbelievable, and we've seen it before a lot with a lot of running quarterbacks. Where they have a season that changes the game, and then it seems like they come back in year 2 and they're not the same at all.
Yeah, I would agree with that. It's fascinating to see how the league adapts to Lamar Jackson this year. The Ravens are a smart coaching staff. They'll be fun. The Ravens also on Thanksgiving this year. They're the nightcap with the Ravens and the Ravens Steelers bloodbath. That's going to be a fun way to down your turkey and down, after you have your pie and all that stuff. They'll probably put you to sleep with a physical brawl. You have Detroit hosting the Houston Texans early, and then the Redskins Cowboys. That literally is just people will turn the TV on. I don't care who they put the Cowboys up against. That's going to be an awful football game.
Yeah, I'm not happy about the early game either with Houston and Detroit. I mean, that's not anyone's fault. Detroit have to play in that game, but
yeah.
They're a terrible defense. They're not a good team at all. I think Matt Patricia is on his last season as a coach there, and then Washington obviously how bad they are, second pick in the draft. But I think we had some bad Thanksgiving games, and the Detroit one you can't blame anyone. Detroit plays on Thanksgiving. They're a bad team. Well, what's going to happen? They got to keep playing.
Yeah.
But the Dallas Washington game would have been nice. As far as I've been watching football, as long as I've been watching, I've never seen the Giants play Dallas on Thanksgiving. I don't even know the last time it happened. And if it did happen recently, I don't remember it. I remember the Giants played Denver on Thanksgiving one year, but how come they never play Dallas on Thanksgiving? That would be cool to watch. You think being in the division, you'd get to see that every now and then. Like sometimes you see the Vikings play Detroit or the Bears or the Packers. It seems like it rotates between the three of them. I know this is Houston, but I've never seen the Giants play in Dallas.
Yeah, I'm actually looking it up right now while I'm trying to find.
I'm assuming it's because they want to save that game for another time. They don't need that game on that day, but I still would like to know when it was.
Yeah, that would definitely be my assumption that they're saying, you know what, like we want the Giants Cowboys for a different window because they'll draw high ratings anyway, so we can burn the Redskins here because they don't draw as well. But while I'm looking that up, I think my strategy, when I did my post a couple weeks ago about the games that I would put on Thanksgiving, I would have put the Packers in there against the Lions. I said, you know what, like it's been a minute since they've been on. It's Rodgers, get him in there, have some fun. I think they would be good. The other one I said for the Cowboys, I actually would have put the Cleveland Browns on there because they have not played on Thanksgiving since '89. You have a little star power with Odell and and Baker, all that guys. I think that would have been a lot of fun.
I agree. I mean, Cleveland had a little bit of a disappointing season last year for what people were expecting, but I think they're a pretty decent team. I think that would have been a lot of fun seeing the star power. That's what the Thanksgiving's about. It's not about like that night game is a good game. Let me wrong, Baltimore, Pittsburgh. That's not the kind of game that Thanksgiving is about. I don't know. Thanksgiving is about just star power, and that's it in my mind. You want to see Aaron Rodgers on the field, like you said. You want to see Odell Beckham on the field. You don't want to see a good game. You do, but that's not what it's for. You want to see just star power, and that's it. You want to see the biggest stars in the game because that's when you have, besides the Super Bowl, that's when you have people watching who generally don't watch football, and it's good to show them the stars, not Dwayne Haskins.
Yeah. And I did look it up. The last time the Giants played on Thanksgiving in Dallas was 1992. So I think you were a mere 1 year old at that point.
Yeah, let's see. Yeah, I was not even one. I was 9 months old at the time.
Yeah, so you would clearly have no memory of that game. I was about 3 when that was happening, so I don't blame you.
I was also a little late bloomer as a Giants fan. I wasn't a Giants fan until they played San Fran in the playoffs that year with the big lead and Julian Peterson and all that.
Yeah, and ironically, the Jets have played Dallas on Thanksgiving more recently. They played there in 2007. That's the last time that Dallas played a New York team on Thanksgiving.
The butt fumble Thanksgiving night?
Yes, it was. That's the last time they've been on NBC too. Was the butt fumble game?
Really? That was the last time they were on NBC. Wow.
Yeah, they've been scheduled a couple times, been flexed out because they've been bad, but they have not been on in a long time.
Interesting.
Yeah, well, I think that's a good place to leave it here. It's been a lot of fun, Nick. Thanks for coming on. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, I had fun. Thanks, Mike. Thanks for having me.
All right. Up next, I will be talking Bulls with Melissa Isaacson, who covered the Bulls back in the late 90s. But first, let's listen to one of the great moments from last week's episode of The Last Dance, the shrug courtesy of NBC Sports' Marv Albert.
Here's Jordan for 3. Yes! Did you see that look? Michael indicating he can't believe it.
Well, if you take those hurried shots, that's what's going to happen. The runs are... He feels it. There's nothing else he can say other than the man feels it and lets us know. Oh, here's a 3 again. You know, and just let us know that, hey, I'm feeling it. I'm feeling good. It's my game. I love it.